On-Tap Plumbing and Gas covers all Perth areas from Mandurah to Two Rocks and has a team of plumbing, drainage and hot water experts. They have an amazing reputation for their excellent service and quality workmanship on time, every time, and it is easy to see why they are a favourite to many Perth property managers. Whether you just need some friendly advice or an obligation-free quote, look no further than On-Tap Plumbing and Gas.
Welcome to the PM Collective, a dynamic hub designed to empower business owners, property managers, and BDMs to excel in their careers. Through access to intimate conversations, cutting-edge video training, mental health support, and unparalleled motivation, our community is the ultimate destination for individuals seeking to elevate their professional lives to new heights. So sit back, relax, and enjoy our next conversation on our weekly podcast, The Art of Property Management. Today we have a repeat guest on the podcast, and it is Kasey Lawrence from the Rental Network. Kasey, thank you for joining me again.
Thank you for having me.
So we are going to be talking about powerhouse property management teams, and I think this is a topic that you had come to me with, and I think it's a great one because there are a lot of people, I think, in property management roles, and you don't know whether you're in a great team or a not so good team. And you know, when you get property managers that haven't moved around and you sort of like, well, is my team good, or, you know, you have to improve and things like that. So I guess what I wanted to go through with you, because you get to see with your consulting so many real estate property management teams, like what are you seeing, like what sort of powerhouse teams are you seeing, and what does that look like in the office?
Yeah, so I think, well, first of all, the leadership, I think it definitely starts from strong leadership and supportive leadership, absolutely. And then that just flows down through to the team. So having a team that is cohesive, trained well and supported well, and in healthy competition with one another, to support and lift one another up. So I think that the culture, it comes down to the culture, system, structure, leadership and support the foundations for a powerhouse team to begin with, for sure.
Can we talk about the leadership to start off with, because there is a lot of different options that departments are run with. So are you seeing any trends, I guess, when it comes to the leadership? Because I guess the first option is that you might have like a selling principal, and they may or may not have a head of department, and then you've got 100% direct property management focused business owner. I guess like where I'm getting at is there any like perfect sort of leadership role? Because I have this thing about horizontal management and vertical management, and I personally don't like seeing too many layers of management, but then I also haven't been in an office that's had that, so I don't know whether that's something that works really well or doesn't. Like, what are you seeing out there in the businesses?
I think from my personal perspective, before I was in the consulting and training space, I was a head of department for a very big property management team here in Melbourne. And the directors that were involved with that, or the directors of the business, gave me the trust and power to run that department and to run it well. And that, I think, is one of the keys that made it so successful and made the team so powerful, is because there was the one leader. There was no, undermining, overriding. There was mutual trust there from both sides. And I was given that trust to be able to build a team that thrived, and that I could solely nurture and train and mentor and steer in the direction that they needed to go to be a powerhouse team. So I think if the directors are going to appoint a department head, choosing well is the first thing. But second of all, giving them the trust that they need and the, I suppose, space that they need to be able to do what they need to do within that department to make it successful and to make it be able to thrive. I think that the most successful or I guess, happier rental departments is when there is support at the top who is property management based. I'm not going to sugarcoat it and say it any other way. I think that's, what I've seen out there from experience, what I do now in consulting, having a leader at the top. There's someone that the property managers can go to for support when they get into trouble or they don't quite know what to do or where to go. There's someone there with experience that they can turn to give them the right answers.
So when with the head of department, and I love that you said that having that full control and room to grow, I guess that is absolutely necessary. Do you find that, or do you see like property management directors that get a head of department, or do you find that it's generally the sales selling principles that get the head of department?
The property management principles. Is that what you mean?
Like someone who owns a real estate business that has a property management background, like myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are they more likely to get a head of department? No.
Yeah. It's the sales principles. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And I like that because that's one of my things. Everyone knows that I have a slight little, issue sometimes with selling principles, but only from the point of view that they are just not really that interested in the property management department, but they're also quick to blame property management when there's any problems. So I'm very much of that. If you don't have an interest in the property management department or don't understand it, just get somebody else in that does.
Outsource it. Yeah.
That's right.
100%. Yeah. It's, I think that's probably one of the biggest frustrations from property managers when the person that they have to turn to has never done property management. And there's no disrespect meant there at all. It's just that they don't have confidence in the answers they're going to be given for when they're seeking support. So I think having someone that is the leader of the team who has a strong background in property management, who is relatable, who is a good leader, leads by example, gives trust, takes opinions from others, creates a good leader and someone that the team can look up to and be confident in seeking support from.
Yeah, perfect. So that is tip 1 on how to have a powerhouse property management team. That is either have a head of department who loves property management or be a business owner that loves property management. So the property managers can go to get the answers that they need. So that is something definitely for teams to consider whether they've got in their office or not. So let's go to the stars of the show, which are actually the property managers. And what does a powerhouse team look like? What are some good examples and some bad examples you've seen in teams that you see?
Yeah, okay. On the spot. Bad examples, I think, would be every man for themselves. A department cannot run successfully when everyone's in it for themselves. You need to have support in your colleagues if you were to fall ill or you've accidentally double booked or you need help from your colleagues for an answer for something that you don't know or you want them to check over an email to make sure it's okay. You need to have confidence in those people around you that they've got your back just as much as you've got theirs. And I think that is what makes a thriving department when you are all so cohesively entwined in what you do and supportive of one another is the difference between the two teams. The ones that don't thrive and the ones that do is the trust and support that you have in one another.
And do you find that whether it's portfolio-based or task-based, it's still possible to do that, even if it's just each person has their own portfolio?
Yeah, absolutely. If it's task-based, it is trickier to find that cohesiveness because you've got to have, I guess, that additional trust in one another that those specific tasks with relation to your clients are going to get done. So that then would come down to leadership, matching teams together who can, I guess, are similar in personality, who are similar in work styles as well. So there's no conflict in amongst the team there too. So, and then if it's portfolio based with a little bit of office support, same thing, like just having that team that you know that you can rely on them to do your leasing or your inspections well, and thoroughly as well. That's not going to leave you open to any kind of conflict or liability with your clients.
So I right now have a very, I would say they're a powerhouse team. They really are good. And with this week, with half of them being sick and half of them not, I find that they are very good in that they just email each other. Still feeling sick today. Still feeling sick today. Can anyone help me with this inspection or that inspection? So that's really, really good for them. But there was a time where, because we're portfolio based, there was a time where there were some workers who are no longer with me, where they just like doing their own portfolio. They wanted to be alone. Everyone else was fine except for them. So what sort of advice would you have for maybe a business owner or department manager when you've got a person who is a bit like that? Do you just let them do their own thing and just worry about everyone else, or do you try and force them?
I think as educating in the onboarding or interview process that this is how our team works and these are the expectations that we would have with someone coming into our team. So if you can try and outlay that from the start so they're aware of the expectations of them to work in with the team. It's not necessarily they're going to have to do everyone else's work, but there should be an expectation there that if someone needs help or falls sick, that other people will be there to pick it up for them. If they're already in the team and that's how they're working and you're struggling with, I guess, getting them to assist a little bit, I think, putting them in, getting them to put themselves in their shoes if they were away or needed the help. They've got the others there supporting them as well. So it's got to go both ways. And I think just trying to manage that as best as possible. Some offices I've even seen have a buddy system. So you're matching a couple of people up with similar personalities and work types, and they're the only two people that pick up each other's work. So rather than having a whole team, then you've always got if you've got a whole team and it's, can anyone help with this? You've always got the same two people putting their hand up and the same two people stepping back and never putting their hand up. So I think, a dedicated little pod or buddy system is probably the best way to get around that when you do have people falling sick or are on leave.
Yeah, I was just going to say that with the buddy system, I think that's how I ended up managing it. Because the people that were complaining, and I say this because I know there's people listening that are in this situation now, when you've got someone complaining, that person never, jumps in to help, then I would just buddy that person up that's worried about it with someone else.
Yes.
And then just say, listen, you guys work together as your team. Don't worry about this one.
Yeah.
Manage that. But what's actually frustrating, and again, I mention it because there'll be people listening that go, oh my God, that's exactly what happens in our office, is that person who is a little bit insular, likes to just work on their own, doesn't like to venture out and help anyone else. It's funny that when they're sick or they're on leave, they still expect people to help.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
I don't understand. I don't think they have mentality.
Yeah, it's insane. Yeah, but I definitely think personality matching and work matching is a good way to try and manage that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's one of those things though, you sort of don't know when you don't know what you don't know. So when people come in for an interview, you sort of don't think to even ask.
Yeah.
And I find as well that in interviews, of course, people are going to say, yeah, I'm a team player, but you actually never truly know until they start working.
No, that's right. But it will soon rear its ugly head. There's no hiding it. So then you manage it quickly as soon as it does come to light and deal with it as you will. But I think if you've got kind of the same standard questions that you do go through in an interview process, as well as like your ad hoc ones as well, but then you know that you've always covered the same thing. So if someone comes on board, it's never I didn't know that, or you didn't mention that, because you've always gone through it in your interview process.
Yeah. The other thing is that just came to my mind, and I don't know whether you have any sort of thoughts or comments on it, but when it comes to people that, someone's sick or someone's on leave and you need to get other people to help, is there any rule that you find, like with asking for that help, should that come from the colleague that's going on leave, or should it come from a head of department or a business owner to coordinate that? Like, are you seeing sort of any trends with what offices?
Yeah, I think I've seen both, and I've seen both work, and it purely depends on the team. Like if you've got that team that is very much team orientated and they will help each other, it can successfully come from the property manager to the team because they know that they'll get the help. I think it needs to come from the department head or the director if there is that pushback or people don't put their hands up. It needs to come from someone a little bit higher.
Yeah, and I've just started introducing a system in our office with staff using work metrics. And I guess with this, what we're talking about is having at induction and when you first employ somebody, having those discussions about how we help each other, etc. in the office. But I find that as time goes along, we need a little refresher, and your team needs a little refresher on those rules and how we work together and what happens when people are on leave. So I've started creating some videos, and it was another office where I learnt this, and it was about re-inducting people, whether it's every 3 months or 6 months or 12 months. And it could be something that people could do if they find that they're having a couple of struggles with this type of behaviour in the office and it is affecting other people. Maybe doing a reinduction into the team and then having a video where everyone has to watch it again, just as that reminder, because we can get quite complacent.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I love that, especially if you've got long-term staff that have been there for a while. You've got a couple of newies coming in. It's good to get everyone back on the same page with something like that.
That's exactly what's happening in my office at the moment. I've got a long-term team, new people coming in. So it's like everyone needs a little refresher.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's a good idea.
And also as teams change, because you might, if you're a business owner listening, you might be an office that only had 2 people and now you've got 6 people. So it is different.
Different structures work for different people. Yeah, you've got to do some tweaking.
Yeah, absolutely. So powerhouse teams, we've spoken about how we have, the head of department or the property management business leader. We've got the team that supports each other and does work very interactively to get the job done. So, I guess understanding that we've all got, the role is to have happy landlords, happy tenants, and working towards that goal. Doesn't necessarily matter who does and who doesn't do it, just get the job done.
Yeah.
Are there any positions that you see in powerhouse property management teams that work really well, or that maybe are they a bit left of centre? Like, do they have a marketing person or, a specified BDM? Like, anything that you see that you think is pretty cool?
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Sensor Global saves lives with automatic compliance and manages smoke alarms, gas and water leak detection with 24/7 remote management. It provides complete control, reduced risks and improved compliance for property managers. To find out more, speak to Anthony Booth or head over to sensorglobal.com.
Not too much away from the ordinary, there's a lot of VAs on board now. And I think that would probably be one of the biggest trends that I am seeing, the VAs. So, and I think that's super important to be utilising support staff to do the admin tasks. So the focus with the property managers can be on the clients, which is where the business comes from. So, getting your property managers more client-based and faced out in front of the clients, spending more time talking to the clients, maybe going for a coffee, nurturing those relationships to be able to build the business and the portfolio. And that comes with strong support in the back end as well, whether it be your trust accountant, your admin assistant, your leasing support, virtual assistants. I think they all form a part of a powerhouse team, absolutely, because then the property managers can solely focus on their clients.
Now, I've asked you a really tricky question. Sorry, I'm putting on the spot with a few today. Is there a possibility, and this is going to be a real personal opinion, is it possible to have a powerhouse property management team with less people? No, I don't want to say less people because that's wrong. Less, in-person property managers and more VAs, like with the ratio? Or do you really believe that, that it needs to be an even number or less VAs?
No, I don't. I think there can be, for sure. I think, the better. I'll just dissect it a little bit. The department being structured well is the first thing. like obviously the leadership as well, strong leadership, good structure and systems will allow the property managers to manage more properties, because they've also got that support in the back end. So they've got support doing admin tasks, inspections, leasing, trust accounting, obviously. But the more support they get with the back end stuff, and I guess the out of office stuff, the more they can physically manage portfolio wise. So yeah, I definitely think, you know, some offices I know that I work with, they're managing over 200 properties and doing it well per property manager. But there's a lot of foundations that are laid underneath that to allow them to be able to manage numbers like that.
Yeah, that's like music to my ears, because that's one thing that I really want to see improve. And it's, people think it's a negative looking after more properties, but it's actually not about that. I always say it's not about the number of properties someone's managing. It's are those staff members happy and doing it within a reasonable amount of hours, and client experiencing a really great service. That's what matters.
And how many times do you get asked a question or see the question asked, how many properties should a property manager manage? And it's just not a one number fits all. There's so many variables to that question. And I think it is a very old school mentality. Like back in our day when we first started, you know, managing 200 was hard because you didn't have all of that support that there is now in terms of your inspection managers, your VAs, your admin support. It literally was end to end, and you cannot do end to end on those numbers. So for a director that's listening, thinking you can get your property managers to do 200 end to end, it's not a thing. It doesn't work. It will not work well. The only people that will suffer there will be your clients and your property managers. But yeah, if you've got your department structured well, absolutely, you can manage those higher numbers.
It's when I get investors call me up and ask me that question, my response is, do you even know what the right answer is? Like, you're asking a question, but
what do you want from me?
What answer are you wanting? That's right. So, I mean, I would rather them ask as an overall team. Like, for example, instead of saying how many properties does that one person manage, it'd be of asking how many properties does your office manage and how many in the department.
Support.
By the time you add on a VA, a BDM, a trust accountant, a trainee or an assistant, by the time you add everybody into that equation, that's actually the true number of how many you manage, not actually what, you know, that Amy is responsible for. And then that also showcases the support and takes into account the support that you've got as well. So it's one of those, I have done a video on that recently for investors saying, you know, these are questions that are better to ask. And one of the questions is, you know, how long have the team been with you for? Because that's a factor. My team that have been with me for 7, 8 years or even 10 years can actually manage more than someone who's just starting, because they know their clients so well.
Just the client will leave them alone.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, and the trust is there. So when the trust is there with your client.
That's exactly what 100%. Once you've got the trust, they let you do your job, and you can physically manage more properties because you don't have those calls coming in. You're not having to field all the emails. Thousands.
We just don't, we don't sort of talk about that. So it's, they're things, if like Kasey said, if you're a business owner, things to take into account. And I think one thing that I probably also need to do that I haven't is that we've all got our idea of what a powerhouse team looks like. Now, my powerhouse team, I'll share this one with everyone, I have a great property management team. I would love to, to actually see a VA for each property manager. At the moment, we've got a shared one. So I would love my team to have their own personal sort of PA VA. That would be like something that I'd love. I would also love to see a full-time marketing person in the business. And I would also love to have a team of BDMs. So these things, to be honest, they're not unachievable, but there's a lot of, like, I've got to have a good think about how it worked, the costs, whether it's worth the business and the return on investment. But like, if I was to map it out, that would be what my dream team looks like. And I think that would be pretty cool, because we don't naturally have a marketing specialist in property management. We've got the skills, and we also don't there's very few offices that have a team of BDMs.
Yeah.
And BDMs are such great investments for a business.
Yeah.
I got my first one after, nearly 20 years in business only last year. And I was doing it earlier.
Really?
Yeah. One of my regrets in business is not getting her in before she's fabulous.
You've seen the benefits of it. Yeah,
totally. And I mean, I hit, gold because she's so driven and
amazing.
and it's interesting. She is on a commission structure like most BDMs would be, and she actually increased our fees when she started. And I'm thinking, like, how weird. Wouldn't you rather cheaper fees so you can get more business and more people paid?
Yeah.
But she was like, no, Ash, like these fees, they're worth this, they're worth that.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I mean, what a blessing. How many people?
I know. And like, I think a lot of business owners need to look at that too, like their commission structure that they're paying, because the first thing that property managers negotiate on is the management fee, and the management fee is what your business is valued on. So, I could go down a rabbit hole with that, but I won't go off topic. But
I think people want to reach out to you, Kasey. I think that it's really like what I love about what you're doing with your line of work is that you see so many offices and you know who's doing it right and wrong and who needs support. So it's really important to get someone like yourself in the business so that they could actually say, you know what, like, what does my powerhouse team look like? And who am I missing? Like, what do I need to do to get to the next level of the business? And that type of thing, I think quite often people do need that third-party support because that's where your specialty is. So I would highly recommend that if anyone is listening to this and just wants to have a consult with Kasey, or maybe have something with the team so you can get all on the same page, it would be a really good exercise to actually do. Just to go, you know what, the next 12 months, this is
the gaps. Where do we want to go? 100%.
So what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
You can get in touch with me via email or Instagram or phone. I think you'll put the contact details on, but my email is kasey@therentalnetwork.com.au. Instagram is the.rental.network. But I'd be open to any conversations. Obviously, I love, structuring, helping, training, mentoring rental departments and property managers. It's what I think I do best. I absolutely love it. I know how well a rental department can thrive when it's managed, structured, and trained right. So if there's something that you think is not working right within your business, reach out and I'd be happy to have a call and have a conversation and see where we can help you.
Fabulous. It's always a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Ash. Beautiful. Thank you. See ya.
The Associates Co provide reliable, fully trained professionals to assist you with running and scaling your property management department, providing high-quality, pre-trained virtual assistants ready to hit the ground running and revolutionize the way you run your portfolio, ensuring your time is spent doing the high-value tasks inside your rent roll that really matter. Not long ago, VAs within a business were considered a luxury. Now they are a staple for any business needing reliable support without the headache of traditional staffing. To find out more, head over to theassociatesco.com.